dropped it. You dropped it. You did. Woo! Anybody feeling courageous? Right, yes. That was great. Good morning, all you beautiful, high vibration, enlightened spiritual expressions of the Most High God. It is so wonderful to be with you. I'm so glad you're with us, that you are here to journey along the yellow brick road with Dorothy and company. I hope you're enjoying our series. I feel like Jean Houston's book, The Wizard of Us, we are off to be the wizard, right? Okay, The Wizard of Us. And then L. Frank Baum's book, the original Wizard of Oz, were both downloads from God. That Frank Baum said that the whole story of the Wizard of Oz came to him in like it came down from a bubble from Glinda. And there it was, all at once. He had the whole thing, beginning to end. It just came into his mind. Can you imagine having a spiritual download like that? It is such a magnificent piece of work. Wow. So, divine ideas is a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. How we can work with our brains so that we can be an opening for continual divine ideas. Can I have an amen on that? Okay. So I just want to tell you a little bit about how we came to have this series going. We have a speaker rotation, and some of us got together, and we decided it was really fun. We did the 12 Powers, the whole series, so we decided it was really fun to do that. Excuse me. Because it allowed some continuity for us as speakers and for the congregation. And so I hope that's been fun for you. So I went into my bedroom after our discussion, and I have hundreds of spiritual books, let me tell you. And I said, I wonder if there's one here that would really inspire us. And I swear to God, Jean's book just jumped off the shelf. It was like right there. It was the only book I saw, The Wizard of Us. So I said, okay, I think I get the message, Spirit. And I brought it back to the group, and everyone agreed that it would be a great series to do. Excuse me. And then another interesting thing happened. I have been, for over a year, having something going on with my brain. They said it was vertigo at first, and then they said that's not vertigo, and now I'm not going to get into it because nobody seems to know what it is. But, excuse me, one of the biggest challenge, I do have water right here, thank you. It doesn't really, well, I'll try. I don't want to choke. So what the challenge of what's going on in my brain is foggy brain. Foggy brain, and that can really be disturbing. It is interesting. So when we set up this series, we put all of our dates down of which Sundays and which people would speak on those Sundays before we chose the book. So this all came about before we realized that we were going to do The Wizard of Us. Guess which chapter I got? Chapter 4. If I only had a brain. So I think Spirit's really playing with me and having some fun and giving me exactly what I needed. So, let's see. Dorothy's journey is very much a part of the journey, the hero's journey of Joseph Campbell. All the same steps are there. And it always begins with a call. So Dorothy was called back in Kansas. Her whole world was seemingly gray. Everybody was unhappy. Some witchy kind of woman on a bicycle wanted to take her little dog Toto away from her. So she was feeling like, there's got to be something else. I know there's somewhere over the rainbow. Skies are blue and dreams come true, right? So she was dreaming. She was getting the call. But she refused it at first. And you know what happens when we refuse the call? I think probably, did anybody know about refusing the call? Tornadoes. Yeah, whirlwinds. We get something going on in our life. I mean, God isn't going to let you go. So it's going to do something to get your attention. And hello, here comes the tornado, whips her up and takes her off to Oz and plops her down in the middle of Oz so that she can have a new experience of herself somewhere over the rainbow. Yeah, we've all been called at some point. I hope that everybody's listening. Everybody's listening. I know I've refused a few. So there she is with her little dog Toto and her magic slippers. If you heard Jackie Woodside's talk last week, she called that her magic slippers her superpower, which I really liked. I thought that was cool. And this whole gray world was there. With the Land of Oz is all in Technicolor. Remember the movie? So it's in Technicolor, and there's flowers everywhere, and she's hearing the laughter of munchkins from all around behind the trees and stuff. And she looks down at her little dog Toto and says, "I get the feeling we're not in Kansas anymore." I love that line. So she had received the call. Let's see. So then she has met up with Glinda. And Glinda is the good witch of the north, and she has told her to take the yellow brick road, and the yellow brick road is going to take her to her home. And we know right away, this is a metaphysical experience, and we know right away it's not necessarily her home, her structural home, but the home within her, inside herself. That is what she is searching for on this journey. And I forgot the part about the tornado giving you a new perspective. You know, when you get a tornado and you land after it, you get a new perspective. And I do Qigong. I do as much as I can, I do a Qigong practice. And one of the practices when you're in a bad mood, you put your head down between your legs and you look at the world through there, and you get a new perspective. Oh, geez. So, Dorothy's wandering on her journey, and she comes to a crossroads. She comes to a fork in the road. Now, crossroads in the metaphysical or the mythical journey are a very important, big part, because they mean that you're going to have to make a choice about the life that you're living now, the self that you are, and what could possibly be if you make a choice to go to this way or that way, or this way or that way. So while Dorothy's sitting there wondering out loud which way to go, a scarecrow over in the corner, in the cornfield, wakes up and offers to give her some advice. And he says, "Well, you could go that way. That's a good way." "Oh, but that would be a really good way if you went that way." And then he goes like this. And doesn't say anything. And she's like, "Well, can you make up your mind?" And I'm missing something. So we've come to a fork in the road, transitions in their worlds. We're making that already. Okay. So she has the opportunity to make a choice. And that choice is going to take her to some place that she doesn't know. And Jackie Woodside said last week, this is the time in our, if we have to make a choice, we make a choice to move ahead powerfully without knowing what to expect. So every time we come into a crossroads, we're going to have to make a choice, move ahead powerfully without knowing what to expect. And that can be very scary. Is that scary? Yeah, that can. So we're living boldly, not knowing what to expect. Anybody been there? Yeah. Okay. I want to take a minute and just think about the path. Maybe if you've had a time in your life when you've been at a crossroads, and there was a path that you didn't take. Where would you be if you had taken that other path? And who would you be? We're all going to come to the realization that all paths are the right path. It doesn't matter. Our soul is going to guide us to the right place that we need to get to by the end of our journey. So, we're all on a personal mythic adventure together. All of life is a mythical adventure. And we will learn and grow no matter which way we go. So, I just want to note that I grew up in the main line of Philadelphia. If you know Philadelphia, you know what I'm talking about. So, I had a lovely family, and I don't want to diss that. But in the main line of Philadelphia, there were rules and there were ways of being and there were expectations of one's children about how they should be. And my mother thought very much that I should marry a rich man from the main line. And she had somebody in mind. His name was Andy. Yeah. And I would have nothing of it. I was feeling stuck. Now, I think that's, what Scarecrow experiences, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I was feeling very stuck in where I was. I just felt like I was being regulated into being a kind of person that I really wasn't. And so I went off to Syracuse University. Yay, Michelle! A big university, so I could experience what it might be like on the other side of the main line. And boy, it was quite an adventure. It was quite different. And I met a man there, and I said to myself, I think I need to fall in love. So I kind of did. And we got married, and the marriage lasted about 5 years. And that wasn't it, because I was searching for something. A little while after that, I met another man, and I had 2 beautiful children with him, but it wasn't it. Again, in fact, that was the tornado relationship of my life. It was a very tornado-ish, So that wasn't it. Shortly after that, I met Unity. Should I call it Mrs. Unity or Mr. Unity? Unity. Whoever it was. It was Unity, and I knew I was home. The moment I walked through the door of the first study group that I went to, I felt like I knew all the songs that were being sung, and I'd never heard any of them. I was home. I had found my home. And I saw other relationships developed over time, but I was so devoted to Unity that it really didn't work for those men to be with somebody who was, they called me Mrs. Shipley. They didn't want to be Mrs. Shipley. No, something like that. Anyway, it didn't work out so well. So I remain in love with Unity, and it is my home, absolutely my home. So going back to Dorothy asked the Scarecrow, can't you make up your mind? And the Scarecrow says, no, I can't make up my mind. I don't have a brain. My head's all full of straw. Well, Dorothy says, well, she looks at him kind of oddly. That's kind of odd because if you don't have a brain, you can talk, so you must have a brain. And he says, sometimes people without brains do an awful lot of talking. The Scarecrow is stuck. He is feeling like he doesn't do a very good job. He's supposed, when the crows come, they laugh at him as they're stealing the corn. And he feels like he's stuck. And that's a great thing that he has a realization that he's stuck. And when he's in that realization, because this is the beginning of a transformation, when you realize you're stuck, and then you do something. And what he does is he asks for help. Oh, anybody have any trouble asking for help ever? Yeah, he asks for help. He asks Dorothy to undo the peg on his pole, and it works, and he drops, and he's free, and he lands on wobbly legs, but he gets up, and he gets up very slowly because he knows everything is changing. So Dorothy says to him, excuse me while I cough again, what would you do if you did have a brain? And he says, well, what would I do? Well, I'd while away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain. In my head I'd be scratching as my thoughts were busy hatching if I only had a brain. I'd unravel any riddle of any individual in trouble or in pain. And with the thoughts I'd be thinking I could be another Lincoln if I only had a brain. Oh, I could tell you why the ocean's near the shore. I would think of things I never thought before, and then I'd sit and think some more. I would not be such a nuffin, with my head all full of stuffing, my heart all full of pain. I would dance and be merry, life would be a doodle-dairy if I only had a brain. Yay! Yay! Woo! Oh my God, I am so glad I don't have to think about that song anymore. Thank you. Dear. So, okay, I breathe. Elizabeth and John are here from California. Why don't I just say hi to them? It's so great. They are old Unity people. I mean, Elizabeth was with Unity for a long time. Oh, back with Curtis. Oh, yeah. So, does anyone else ever feel like they're not smart enough, they're not bright enough, they have a brain, that just isn't working well enough to deal with all the ordeals of this present world, and I'm going to say with the technology. I frustrate my daughter so much with my trying to figure out, yeah. I want you to read, because we really, as you believe, so shall it be. And we tend to downgrade our own brains. So I want to read, Jean Houston has the most wonderful languaging, and I just want to read this one paragraph. How can you say our brains are inadequate? Within this 3 pounds of universe, our brains are a biomass extravaganza. Encoded with the wisdom of the millennia and the dream of tomorrow, the capacity to decode even the most multifaceted symbols and the desire for communion and community. Language, memory, and the great achievements of civilization have emerged from this delicate, complex interaction of perhaps 100 million neurons in trillions of connectors. If I only had a brain? So, as we believe, so shall it be. It's time for us to take a different look at, even if we're having challenges with our brains are pretty magnificent. And did you know what? I'm just going to tell you something, it has nothing to do with this, but our brains are shrinking. I read this in the Washington Post. They're shrinking as much as the size of a lime. And you know why? Well, first of all, it started at the end of the Ice Age when people came together in communities, and the community would be as smart as the smartest person in the community. So we didn't need to hold all this information, so our brains started shrinking. And now they are telling us with our devices, do we need what do we do when we want to know something? Google machine. We don't need to have all that information in our own heads, so our brains are continuing to shrink. I thought that was pretty interesting. So, the song that I just sang is actually a map of the ways we can enhance our brain. And Scarecrow actually turns out to be the one that has the most ingenious ideas in this whole journey through Oz, because he has a brain. He just doesn't know that he has a brain. So some of the things we can do. The first of all, and this is the equinox, so I think this is so perfect, because it's the time when we begin to go inward. Meditation and contemplation are the main thing that can help change our brains. We cannot measure spirit, but you can measure the results of people who meditate, have a regular meditation and contemplation experience. They said, the latest science, Jean says, reveals that the physical brain is positively altered by the results of meditation and contemplation, and there's proof in MRIs. The synapses get built up, and people are, they would test people afterwards, they're better able to focus with greater attention. Yay, can I have an amen to that one? He says, what do we teach in Unity? Prayer, meditation, contemplation, yeah. Jean says it takes a lot of discipline because we're rebuilding the landscape of our brains. There's chemical and structural changes that occur so that spirit can get more access to us. We want that, yes? Okay. Be ye transformed by the renewal of your brain, as the Apostle Paul said. Now I'm going to talk about something that I really know nothing about, but I'm going to do it anyway because Jean brought it up. Neuroplasticity. Yeah. So, neuro is our nerves, there are nerve systems, and plasticity is, this is the best one. Plasticity means it's malleable or changeable. Plasticity. Okay. So, what they're saying is that our brains are not hardwired. They are not just set up in one particular way without the ability to change. And in fact, if one set of cells dies, they can recruit another, I don't know how they recruit another set of cells to come in and do the new job, and even though that's not the job that they were intended for originally. I'm like, how cool is that? You know, I always thought if brain cells were dead, they were dead. I thought I was a goner, man, but nope, I'm not giving up on my brain. So, next thing, brain exercises. Exercise, I do a practice with Qigong. It's called for brain optimization. I do that as many days as I can. It's on YouTube. It's free. It takes about 20 minutes or 24 minutes to do, and it's really helpful. When I wake up and my brain's like totally fuzzy, I can really get it back together. Jean recommends an app called Brain HQ, which you can download, and it's really fun. It's got exercises, it's got, they grade you, and you know, you have to figure things out. And I did so badly with the north, south, east, west one, but you know, you really get, this is the stuff that will really help us, all these exercises that, and science has shown, says Jean, that brain exercises can be as useful as drugs to treat diseases as severe as schizophrenia. Wow. You know, that's really, Let's get going on our exercises. Being physically active, like Scarecrow and the little group, dancing down the yellow brick road. I am going to return to line dancing. So if anybody wants to join me, let's see, the American Legion and 125 in Plaistow, we're going to, Paul Esty and Carol Philkrantz are coming with me. We're going to, it's 125 in Plaistow, no, it's in Raymond, New Hampshire. Raymond, New Hampshire. So what did we think? It was 25, half an hour away? I think, yeah. Yeah. Oh, we're starting on the 4th of October. Okay, come on. This one's the one I really love. Give your brain fun things to think about. You know, I don't know how many of you follow Esther Hicks, but it's about, what she talks about is putting your desires inside a vortex, but then you've got to align your vibration with your desires if you want to bring them into manifestation. It's about getting excited, lifting up your vibration, giving your brain thoughts to get excited about. My daughter and I submitted ourselves into a contest to win a trip to one of the national parks, and we want to go to Zion. You know, Zion is where they've got these emerald pools and these cool caves, and we're getting excited. And you know what Esther Hicks also says? It's this excitement that makes the difference in the brain. It's not actually getting the fulfillment. I mean, the fulfillment's a great thing. That would be great. But the excitement that leads up to it is what really helps us, and it really helps us grow. So I'm really looking forward to going to Zion or getting my energy up about it. So, in conclusion, Scarecrow knows that he knows what he needs to do already. He just doesn't know that he needs to know. So he needs the wizard, and he needs his little buddies that are traveling with him to remind him that he actually is the one that's the genius in the group. Which is, we never know. We don't just identify our true gifts. But as Jackie Woodside reminded us last week when she quoted from the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, "Bring forth that which is within you, and it will save you. If you do not bring forth that which is within you, it will destroy you." So we've got to connect in with that. We got to believe in our brains. We can regenerate our brains. We've got it. We've got the power. So the visit to the wizard is the anticipation of the visit to the wizard is what gets this little group excited and going. So I'm going to ask you, what is your wizard? What's your Wizard of Oz? What would it be that would get you excited and get your brain going so that you too can travel down that yellow brick road and enjoy more exciting adventures? And so it is. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.